It is now about time that we also stop this notion of saying the only way we can grow is to replace old assets with new one. We have not been effectively been able to do that because I have to ask the honest question, where are the new mines that have been sunk in South Africa? Over the past 10 years, all we've sought to do is fill more shafts than we've opened. It is an indictment against us and this industry that in fact the last significant diamond that was discovered has been the Venetia mine in Limpopo, and that has been almost 40 years ago. Currently, we have only around about 22 active contributing mining companies listed solely on our stock exchange. Canada, ladies and gentlemen, has over 200, Australia 2. Canada has over 200 and Australia 2 has in excess of 200. The great difficulty is that those 200 Australian companies only have 5 that are considered big with a market cap of over $10 billion. The rest are all relatively small companies that are constantly looking for new opportunities. It is truly sad that the path in Skyline today is marked with skyscrapers bearing names like Rio Tinto and BHP Billiton. Western Australia is now considered as the modern-day mining capital of the world, and with our vast deposits of mining reserves and improving global demand, they should not have been the mining capital we should have been. And we ought to be competitive in this space. I am not one accepting the fact that global commodities have faced pressure, but don't believe it can only be exclusively because of that our mining has taken the slump that it has. What we've chosen to do is to shut the door on new mining development decades ago through restrictive regulation, hostile labor practices, and policies that can be at best be described as discouraging for investment. And so while existing mining operations have to go deeper and further and spend more and more money to extract minerals, new mining developments in South Africa are virtually non-existent. And this is not because mining rights are not being issued. It's actually on the contrary. Thousands of mining rights have been issued, but they've been issued to people who have no interest or expertise in them. This is how fundamentally, ladies and gentlemen, we kill an industry. In other parts of the world, if you want to find out who owns mining rights, we can take this thing online. We can ensure that more South Africans know exactly who owns what, so that there's a better view on transparency. The key to resurrecting our mining lies in exploration, in development, and the entry of new players. So when you look at the demographic makeup of students, when you go to places like Wits and Tuks, you discover that the majority of them are black South Africans. 90% of these students are in fact black. So if we took that prosper and we said, and we look at the big picture and open our minds to the possibilities of new black entrants to the market, then it will become clear that if we just take off transforming the current sector as it stands, we may be having a wrong conversation. It is better for us to maybe ask the further question, which is to say, how do we allow those graduates who are sitting at Tuks right now to be able to be future mining entrants as they go? In the early 80s, mining was at 21%, was second only to manufacturing in terms of GDP contribution. Mining now sits at a fifth and contributes less than 8% of GDP. So here are some proposals that I'd like to make. The first one, I think we should rip up the new mining charter, along with the MPRDA, and rewrite them essentially for modern, investor-friendly mining sector. And these must be written into new legislation that must have a clause that says, once empowered, always empowered. We need to look at a more favorable tax regime. South Africa cannot build the world's deepest mines without assisting mine owners through favorable tax schemes. The benefits of increased employment are such that taxation should perhaps be lowered to incentivize the creation of mining jobs. We must face the challenge of mechanization. I always maintain that mining requires modernization. We can't be sitting mining in the same ways as we've done in the past. But I can appreciate that might feel as a threat or a negative impact in our country's efforts to create jobs. We can modernize and we can ensure that we prepare young South Africans for an industrial revolution that is coming forward, particularly in this sector. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we need a bold plan that encourages and promotes junior mining. Some of the points that I've mentioned, like transparency in the industry, will certainly help new entrants gain a foothold. But we must go beyond that. We must find ways of financially assisting these new entrants, who most of them are black, to join the industry. We may want to start a conversation on how to formalize and assist those who are trading in the informal sector of mining.